suddenly he goes in for the kiss. He's snogging this girl. Oh, yeah, no, not with me.
Do I hate the play, I hate the game? Do you know what I mean? We're on Love Island. You on Love Island?
Right, okay. We're really going there?
Yeah, just really quickly, because this year, Love Island has turned into Mean Girls.
You cannot compare the Oasis reunion, 16 years in the making. No one thought it would ever happen, to Taylor Swift's latest tour, 6 years after her last one, whatever it was.
Showbiz Fix, where the Sun Showbiz team give you the inside track on our biggest celebrity scoops, exclusive gossip, and the lowdown on everything you're loving this week. We're going to be chatting Liam Payne, Wimbledon, and the latest from Love Island. But now everyone's clothes are washed, hair hosed down, and sunburn has cooled. Howell, Jack, we have to talk about Glastonbury.
I'm still exhausted.
I mean, not to be all Holly Willoughby, but are you okay?
Not really, actually. I mean, I hope my voice keeps going throughout this because I'm a bit hoarse, I'm a bit tired, I'm a bit delicate.
It's giving husky.
I've still got a bit of a dodgy tattoo that I had on for Worthy Farm, and yeah.
The decorations are
available.
available.
A bit gravelly as well, but it was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gosh, diving straight in, the absolute story of the festival, never mind the year, Harry Styles.
Harry Styles,
Hal,
yes.
talk me through. So we didn't know that Harry was going to be at Glastonbury, did we?
No, it's his first time there. I've been to Glastonbury every year since 2015. And, you know, that's when One Direction were huge. And you'd sort of feel like it would be the place that Harry would be, you know? It's right up his street, really. But he's never been before. And so on the Friday afternoon, we're walking around and suddenly I'm like, wait a second, who's this man in a blue jacket? That looks just like Harry Styles. And he was wandering around, to be fair. He was wandering around the site, having a great time. And then, yeah, later on in the evening, he had a late night.
I love this. So the first sighting of Harry drops. He's very much dressed as Harry Styles, which I love, the short shorts that we know so well and love. And then you guys obviously doing your job, are thinking, what's Harry going to be getting up to? So that night, you went partying with Harry.
Actually, the Friday night, he was out at a bar and we saw him there. And I couldn't stay up late enough. I left that bar at 5 a.m.
Important question for the fans. Which bar?
Oh, I couldn't possibly say. It was a backstage bar, but I don't want to give exactly where it is.
Oh.
But it was over the southeast corner. If you are a Glastonbury regular, you'd know where the southeast corner is. It's in that area. It's the nightlife district. It's the party area.
You can probably work it out. It's very Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he popped around a few different venues, but yeah, it was in the southeast corner. I left there, I think, just after 5 a.m. And I had a friend who was then left at 6 a.m. He was still there. I was like, wow, good on him. Anyway, the next night, he's back. He's out again.
So this is Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happened Saturday night?
So we're all partying. We're having a dance. And it was really very surreal. I mean, this only really happens at Glastonbury. You have these very surreal moments. That I am there in very close proximity. I'm dancing. I've got Harry Styles behind me. And in front of me, Davina McCall snogging her boyfriend. I mean, this is like a showbiz reporter's dream, you know?
It's probably quite a few people's dreams, to be fair.
And
Davina looked fabulous, to be fair, though. She'd got like, I love a good outfit for a festival, right? We all do. But Davina had got so many outfits. She'd got like mini dresses. She'd got loads of things. It was great.
I love that from Davina. She always delivers.
And like, good on her as a sober raver. She was up till like 2:30 at least in the morning. I was like, wow, she was having fun, you know?
Yeah, I barely make it to 10 p.m. Never mind 2 a.m. So you're there on the dance floor with Harry. What happens next?
And then suddenly he goes in for the kiss. He's snogging this girl. Oh, yeah, no, not with me.
He wishes.
That was afterwards.
That would be a story.
You know, he's kissing this girl. And I was like, good on you, you know, like a little festival romance, little holiday romance. And we didn't know who the girl was. You know, we were just like, wow, who's this lucky woman? And it seemed as though she's a woman that maybe he met there. She's not famous. She's kind of like a fairly normal girl. But yeah, he took a shine to her and they had a good time by the looks of it. They had a kiss and then a little while later he left. She stayed. So I don't think there was more to it than that necessarily.
He's a nice boy.
Yeah, he's a nice boy. And it looked like they both had a lovely time. They had a nice kiss. What more could you ask for?
Yeah. So then the next day, obviously, we were able to share this story. And I know that so I was in the office on Sunday, so woke up to look at all the amazing stories you got overnight. And I saw on the list Harry Styles snogging Mystery Woman. And I thought, oh my goodness me, this is amazing. So we were all really excited in the office to share this story with the fans. You guys had a video of the moment, which is just 10 out of 10 in terms of sort of what we do here. But then obviously the race was on to work out who this lucky girl was, right? And the internet obviously gets involved. So what happened the next day? How?
Well, that was the funniest thing, is that the internet couldn't work it out. We really thought once we put this out, someone's going to recognize her and it'll turn up. Someone will say, oh, it's this girl. Anyway, there was people saying, oh, it's this person, it's this person. I was going through these Instagrams. I was like, oh, it's not this girl. I don't know who this person is. Anyway, we were on the car back on Monday morning and I got a message from someone who said, oh, someone I know snogged Harry Styles at the weekend. And I said, is it the girl in the video? And this person said, what video? I sent the video and they said, oh my God. And so that's how we worked it out. And it was just, yeah, it was a network thing.
Oh my God. And you were in the car on the way back from Glastonbury too.
I was sleeping, to be fair.
Oh, Jack.
He was fast asleep the whole way back.
I was fast asleep, yeah. I needed it. I was out really late on the Sunday to Monday.
Yeah.
And I was taking those few hours that I could.
Yeah,
But I think
fair.
with Harry as well, what's crazy is he was walking around in the day. So like obviously at night, it's a bit dark. You can sort of go disguised, but like people were going up to him, but not as many as you'd think. Like it's Harry Styles. And to be fair to him, he did a few photos, but even the ones he didn't do, he was like, he introduced himself, asked like what their name was very sort of polite, gave them a sort of moment, which I think is really nice because let's be honest, you don't really want to be doing selfies at Glastonbury. And if you do one, it's a constant stream, right?
Yeah.
So that I bumped into Charlie XX on the Thursday because she was there partying from day one.
Yeah.
And again, spoke to her, got a few lines from her, a few quotes from her, and then she asked for a photo and she very politely was like, no, because if I do you, it's all going to kick off. Oh. And she was right because I then saw someone else did the same and the crowd just goes mental straight away.
Yeah.
So I think with these people, you can walk around Glastonbury, but because you don't get approached for photos that often, I think that's why they love it so much because anyone there looks like they could be a star, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone's in silly outfits or whatever. So I think it works really well.
And that is actually the crazy thing. There's 210,000 people walking around a farm. You're not going to look at everyone's face. And I've seen it so many times where there's like actually quite big stars wandering around. And me and Jack actually on the Friday night, we went out to watch 1975 and we came out and we were just by the pyramid stage. We went to get a drink and we were queuing at the bar. And then Jack went, wait, isn't that Paul Mescal? And we looked and then we were like, oh, that's Paul Mescal with Gracie Abrahams, Daisy Edgar Jones, Lorde. We were like, wow, this is crazy. And like Lorde is one of my favorite artists ever. I saw her and I was like, this is insane.
But what was fun about Paul was that this was the first time we'd seen him and Gracie together, right?
Yeah. But you know what? They were like walking around the site most of the time and no one even noticed it was them. They're not even looking at faces because there's so many people around you don't even notice. But yeah, it was the first time I think that they've really gone properly public,
confirming the romance.
Yeah, and then they went Instagram official afterwards. They posted photos from Glastonbury with each other, which is really sweet.
There was a couple more people that sort of went public at Glastonbury as well, wasn't there? So Denise Van Outen was one we spotted.
Yeah, so Denise Van Outen, her partner Adam Butler, we reported back in earlier this year that they'd gone to the Maldives together, but this was the first time they'd been seen together. And again, they were just really cute, walking hand in hand through hospitality.
Yeah.
She was performing with Discolicious, which is like her DJ duo. So they're just having a good time, really. And I've spoken to Denise a few times over the years, and it's known she's a bit unlucky in love, right? Which relatable. And I just, sadly,
relatable queen.
And I feel like she's in a really good spot. Like she was just dancing away, having a good time. I mean, she is sort of festival chic, right? Like she nails it when it comes to like festival looks and everything, and she just seemed on good form.
Amazing.
And they look really cute together as well.
She had a fun time because I went to Groove Armada's DJ set at like 2 a.m. on Monday morning and she was there. She was having a great time. I was like, good on you, Denise.
I love it. And then Zoe Ball we spotted.
Zoe Ball was there. That was on the Thursday as well, very early on. We'd only been on site for about 10 minutes and Zoe Ball walks past hand in hand with a man as well. We were shook.
Yeah, because that's her new boyfriend, right? First that she'd spoken about him, but first sighting.
Yeah, we didn't really know. So it was she was there having a great time as well. She was there all weekend. And, usually historically when she was on Radio 2, she did the breakfast show from there. But I think this year she just went for fun, and she was there until the bitter end. She was there on Thursday when we got there, and I saw her on Sunday evening pretty late on. She looked like she had a really good time.
I love it. And Lord went public with her fella.
And Lord, yeah. So Lord did a surprise set on Friday at the Woodsies, which was incredible. I almost died of heat exhaustion because I got there an hour and a half early to get my spot in the crowd. And yeah, she was performing on stage. And I did think one of her musicians, she was getting quite close with on stage. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And he's a guy called Jim E. Stack, who's produced her whole album, which came out last week and is, I think, going to go to #1 tomorrow. And then later on that evening, we saw them together. Definitely a couple.
Ooh.
So that's really exciting. I'm glad that she's found someone,
The hot couple that I saw a picture of backstage was actually Jack and Penny Lancaster.
So every year I love a good fancy dress. Like for Legend slot with Elton, I did the costume there. Rod Stewart, obviously the Legend slot this year. Rod Stewart's quite a good outfit. So I'd got a £5 wig. I'd got some red leggings because why not? And then sort of cobbled the rest together. And I was just sat in hospitality one morning. It was a Sunday morning, actually. I was feeling a bit worse for wear, just sort of like gazing out into the distance. Suddenly I was like, that's Penny Lancaster. I was like, I've got to get a photo with her.
Mrs. Rod Stewart, of course.
Mrs. Rod Stewart. And I was like, I am Rod Stewart. And do you know what? She was such...
What did you say to her? So you went over and said, did you say, hi, Penny, I'm Rod?
To be fair, I didn't say that. I should have done, shouldn't I? She saw me. She'd got some friends and they'd all dressed up as Rod as well.
Yeah.
So she'd been talking to them and she saw me coming over to her and she went, oh my God, there's another Rod. She got really excited. I was like, oh, do I wear it well? Like a little cheeky joke. And she laughed and said I did. But what is also funny is later on, I was walking to the main stage and there was 2 of his sons there. And his youngest son, Alistair, he goes to me, hi, Dad. And I laughed and went, hi, son.
Oh, my God.
And it was just silly but funny. And like, because obviously it must be so weird. The four of Rod's kids were there and it must be, however old they are, it must be weird to people dressing up as your dad, right? I know you've grown up with it, but it's just odd. But I just thought it was such in good humour and like they were taking it in their stride.
I love that. Just mwah. Wouldn't happen anywhere else at Glastonbury. Obviously, I wasn't there, guys, but I was at home with Twitter, and I've prepared a dossier.
Oh, right, okay.
Because we need to talk about Glaston Larry.
Right, okay. We're really going there?
Yeah, just really quickly, because shout out to the One Direction fans, because they do our job better than us.
Totally.
Because they are across this. So, Louis Tomlinson loves Glastonbury, goes all the time. Everyone was excited to see him there with Zara McDermott. So the first time they went public. Yep. But they were more excited about whether Louis and Harry interacted across the weekend. So...
Go on and hit us.
Got my tweets here that I printed out. So clever people on the internet have like mapped out a full timeline of the interactions. And they think there was one moment where it looks like Harry and Louis were having a chat among a group of people.
Right.
What do we think? So they think they can spot his tattoos on his hand and he's hidden behind someone else because of the way the photo is taken. But they're convinced that Harry and Louis had a little chat at one point. Let's examine the evidence. What do you think?
I think it's totally possible. I mean, it's so hard to tell from the photo because, the tattoos are in it, but you cannot see his face. And the tattoos, I mean, it's hard to quite tell, isn't it? I would say that they were definitely, there's basically one hospitality area, which is in between the other stage and the pyramid stage, which is the 2 biggest stages. At various points in the weekend, I saw Harry and Louis both in that area, but I did not see them together. I definitely didn't see them in there at the same times. I am unsure whether they actually chatted.
Oh, no.
But the picture, look, there's so many people at Glastonbury. There's so many things that I'm sure happened. I'm sure there's so many scandals that happened there that no one even knows about because there's just so many people there,
Yeah.
Look, they could have. I'm not entirely convinced by the photo, but I'll let the fans believe it if they want to.
I mean, yeah. Do you know what? Fair play to the fans because they do an amazing job.
Yeah.
And often, we use them. But in this situation, I just don't think it is. There's a lot of tattooed hands at Glastonbury, first of all. There's a lot of tattoos. Even
arms.
And our dodgy ones as well. And I just think, no. And Louis was always with a certain group of mates who are just not famous, just like as old friends, and they're nowhere in that shot, not even one of them. So he was never without them. They've even got to the point where they've got a beer tent which they share. So they've camped it near the toilets in hospitality, and it's the same tent every year. It's stocked full of beer. Great. So like him and his mates share a lot of things, and they're always together. It's not like often you sort of lose people.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's possible, but they're always together.
Do you know, I have 2 thoughts on this,
Yeah.
just as a bystander to this huge drama. People at that festival all have camera phones. If they had been together at any point, we would have more than just this one slightly ambiguous picture.
You would think so.
100%.
And my second point, if Harry wanted to, he would.
But also, I would say in that hospitality area, and actually in a lot of the like nightlife bits where it's a bit more exclusive, there is sort of this rule, the unspoken rule, that you don't really take your camera out. You don't really do stuff. So look, I don't want to ruin anyone's fantasies. They could have spoken, and maybe people just thought, look, they're in the hospitality bit, I'll leave them to it.
Okay, well, case dismissed then, guys. Okay, let's move on. So what I love about Glastonbury is it's the start of sort of almost like the UK summer season.
Yeah.
So a bit like how in Bridgerton, there's the season, there's Glastonbury, and then there's Wimbledon, and then there's Henley Regatta, and there's all of these events that have become these sort of go-to spots, certainly in the influencer calendar. And Jack, you encountered many of those influencers this week at Wimbledon, didn't you?
Yeah, so I went with Evian. They've got a suite at Wimbledon, which is fabulous.
Celebtastic as well.
Obviously Celebtastic. I'm just very lucky to be in there. But like there was Matthew Horn was in there from Gavin and Stacey. To be fair, he actually came up to me because he'd heard me talking about Glastonbury, and we had a little bond over Glastonbury because he'd just come from Glastonbury at the weekend. So I think we were both tired. And do you know what? Fair play to him because he was having a great time as well. But I was flagging.
Hair of the dog.
Hair of the dog.
Well, you were in the right place. Evian water, perfect.
Well, I was hydrated, yeah.
H2O.
Exactly, I was glowing.
I'm sure it wasn't just water you were drinking in there.
Now, to be fair, there's obviously a Pimm's. Started with a Pimm's.
Has to be Pimm's.
A few champagnes. Do you know what I'll try to do is have alcohol water.
That's very sensible, Jack.
Oh yeah, well, it's good water, so yeah, why
Yeah.
not? But Molly May was in there as well. Who,
Right.
I mean, she was dressed head to toe in Christian Dior. She looked fabulous. I was just sat next to her eating my food, and she was there. And hopefully not, but I think I'm in the back of some of her YouTube videos.
Oh,
I may have had to cut that down
Jack.
because she's obviously getting her camera out vlogging like she does. Fair play to her. I'm looking a bit rough behind her, so we'll see what that's like. But yeah, what was really interesting is I love a good selfie and a post photo. But I was watching her at one point. Like she was very polite, lovely girl. She made sure she sort of like thanked all the staff, and she was great. But I was watching her for 5 to 10 minutes posing with a strawberry for like a strawberries and cream photo. And then last night I had a look thinking, okay, let's just see what the photo was, right? Because she was putting in the graft.
Yeah.
It's not even been posted, Molly.
No.
So if you're watching, Molly, I want to see the strawberry photo.
What was she doing with the strawberry? Was it?
She was on the balcony. She dipped in cream and she was holding it.
Oh.
Like, it wasn't like, that sounds a bit too suggestive. It wasn't.
Well, I was going to say maybe it didn't pass the Molly May
Maybe it was
filter.
maybe it was just one for Tommy's, you know.
Maybe it was one for Tommy, yeah. Do you know? Yeah, maybe. But it was, do you know what? There's loads of celebs there. The year before, Charlie XCX was in there. I think it's quite...
That's not very brash.
Well, this is what I was about to say. It's such a crossover because when Charlie was in there last year, she looked stunning. She looked like glamorous, like sort of like summer chic. Whereas obviously your standard Charlie is just does what she wants, living the best life, which is what we love her for.
Cheeks ahoy.
But you wouldn't really, it is a crossover, and maybe it has started to be like a sort of Bridgerton thing where you have to be seen there or whatever.
Yeah.
So hopefully by I'm not going to Henley. If I go to Henley, I might find someone, and then yeah.
There we go.
Is Molly May a big tennis fan?
I don't know, but do you know what was nice about her? So she'd got passes for centre court, and she left about 3:30. Obviously, play goes on all the way to the evening.
That's barely started by then.
No comment. But she did give her passes to some other TikTokers.
Oh, that's
Probably know who
nice.
they are. I don't know who they are, to be fair, but I probably should. But I thought that was nice that, like, rather than just let them go to waste,
Yeah.
which she could have done, she put them in a bag and she could have gone home. She gave them to them so they can then get into her seats. Which I thought was actually, do you know what? Fair play to her.
I agree. I do think it is a bit problematic when these people are invited, usually with a brand, to events and then leave early. We saw it at the TV BAFTAs. Quite a few people just left early because they didn't want to sit through the actual TV BAFTAs. They just wanted to do the red carpet and have a champagne and go. But
Have the photo.
hey, the other thing that's happened this week while you were heading down to Early Farm is more developments on building the band. So this is Liam Payne, another One Direction star's final piece of work that he did for Netflix. So we've talked about this before on the show. But Jack, I wanted to chat to you about it while you were here because you have reported on Liam a lot over the years.
Yeah.
Now, we now know that Building the Band will feature a tribute to Liam. And we've heard a bit more about it as the trailer came out. What's the latest in terms of how Netflix are going to be dealing with this? What are the family thinking?
So obviously he filmed it last summer. It was all in the air. Will they air it or they not? I think initially Netflix were always like, we could do this as a tribute. I think initial sort of sounds from his friends and family was like, is it really though? Like anyone says a tribute. I mean, we've seen some of the Michael Jackson tributes that are just messy. So I think initially it was like, whoa. But then sort of as time's gone on and Netflix have been really keen to sort of work with the family and make sure that everyone's on board. And everyone sees it as like a legacy thing now. So obviously a lot of Liam's private life was discussed, but Building the Band is very much about, well, what he cared about the most, which was like, he loved up and coming talent and supporting young artists and also music. And I feel like away from the noise of the past year, this is genuinely going to be a nice tribute.
Yeah.
And Netflix, obviously they gave all the footage to the family. So all the family have seen it.
They've
privately.
seen the whole series.
Yeah, they've seen the whole series. I highly doubt they will watch it ever again, but they've seen it to sort of see what it is. And I guess almost it's bittersweet because he was in a good place at that point. So it's quite nice to see this. Well, it's sad, but it's nice to see their son in a good place doing what he loved.
Yeah.
But like Netflix, for example, when it comes to marketing, they're not going to put him on like a bus or something because there is a load of photos and final shots of Liam with the group and also solo. But like, it would be weird to have a huge photo of Liam drive past you as you're on your way to work, right?
So Netflix have taken some quite respectful decisions, I guess, in how they approach this.
It's when I first was told, oh, Netflix are sort of working with a family and it's all going to be respectful. I did think hot air. Let's be honest, they've got a TV show to produce, but I do, from what I understand, is they have genuinely actually cared and they have been keen to bring everyone along with them. I think, of course, they never wanted to axe the show in the first place, so they are still trying to get the show out there. They've got a bit of a side on it, but they have made sure, if things aren't wanted, that will be cut. Or like with a bus, if they don't want a big photo of him there, they won't do that. Or they don't want it to be, obviously Liam's a talking point, right? It's impossible not to be. When the first photo dropped a few days ago, Twitter lit up because he just looked so happy and like everyone's like, oh, this is lovely. It's going to be a talking point, but he's not actually in until episode 7.
Right.
So he's not into quite a way through. So it's sort of balancing that between being respectful to Liam and making sure everyone's pleased with how it comes out, but also just not overkilling it and making it look like they're milking Liam's final thing because
they don't want to turn it into the Liam show.
Yeah, exactly. It's a balance, isn't it?
But also, I mean, Liam spent quite a lot of time in Manchester filming for the show, didn't he? I'm sure he'd probably want it to go out because, he spent the time doing it. He probably was quite invested in the acts that are on there. I mean, I think it's for the best that it goes out. And actually, when you say that he's not until episode 7, I'm quite surprised by that because it does sort of feel like all the talk around it has been that, he's like the main judge or something.
Yeah,
like he's the biggest star in terms of the names, but he's got a really close bond with the judges that are on there. So they've sort of like, they were all talking after the show. It wasn't just we're going to film it and then go off now. They were still in contact. I know he played his album that's never come out. He played the album to everyone. During in between filming, so I feel like it's just it's cheesy because it sounds really cheesy and cliche, but I think they were a bit like a family, and I think because Nicole Scherzinger was on there and she obviously knows his journey, and then some of the Backstreet Boys guys were on there as well, so it's like they can all relate to things in certain ways.
Yeah.
Kelly Rowland as well, obviously she's from a band world famous. They've all bonded over that and. I think he would want it out there. He certainly wanted to, I think.
Yeah, well, I think it will really be a moment. And gosh, certainly the fans are keen to see it from what we're seeing online. I need to talk to you both about Love Island.
Oh, yeah. Well, you are number one Love Island fangirl, aren't you?
Love Island queen.
Well, 40 years old, but, queen of the villa. The reason why I'm so keen to talk to you two about this is because you don't really watch Love Island.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
this will land as just you can be really subjective about this, which I love. Okay, so the thing that everybody is talking about is how this year Love Island has turned into Mean Girls.
Okay.
So everyone's saying that depending which girl gang you back, it says a lot about you as a person. So it's a whole new world of almost like girl on girl. It's never the boy that's the problem. It's always the other girl that's done something. And usually on Love Island, people are much more about the girl power. And I know it's not you. So you're either a Meg, Megan and Helena, or you're a Shakira, Tony and Yasmin. Which is so funny because this has become something on TikTok that people go, oh, you're such a Meg, Megan and Helena. People say it to me when I talk about Love Island.
Are they the mean girls? Allegedly.
It depends which way you look at it, because I think there's something on either. So Helena basically is the one of the it girls of the villa, and Shakira is the other. And they are vying for the same guy, Harry. So it's all just kicking off. Every time Shakira's at the villa, he goes and has a snog with Helena.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. Do you know what I mean? What? You're on Love Island. But to be fair, obviously I've not watched this series, but I like that because in terms of the girls, because girls are vicious, right? I'm sorry, love them, but they can be vicious. And I'm not about this like Love Island loving where, oh, you're the best honey, you're this, you're that. No, like you in real life, you're all catty, you're all in a WhatsApp group, slagging each other off.
Wow.
So it's actually more real to real life.
Speaking
I like
for girls, I wonder whether it's because there's no actual love in Love Island this year. And so producers are thinking, what can we put in this programme?
Right. I mean, that is the trouble, isn't it? If there's no love, then what is there to it?
Yeah.
But, you know, if they were actually interested in anyone, like if this guy was actually interested in either of those girls, he would make a play for them, wouldn't he? But if he's just going with each one, then it doesn't really sound like he's that bothered either way.
Yeah.
Does anyone go on that show for love, right? I mean, back in the day, Push 1 or 2.
No one has ever gone on Love Island for love. Maybe the first series, so they didn't know what it was.
But like, they always want fame and Instagram followers.
Love is the icing on the cake, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think it's even that. I think actually a lot of people who go on Love Island actively don't want it. Maybe that's me being just like completely anti the show. But
there is no love lost between these girls, but it's fascinating because they literally will be. One of them will walk across the garden and they'll be like, go on, use your catwalk. It's wild. Right. Now I want to know about your bin and binge of the week. Jack, I'm going to come to you first. What are you binning?
Oh, I've been in just the hype around Oasis.
What?
Controversial. Don't come for me. But I get it's a big deal. I get it's going to be epic. You know, all for that. Go on, lads. But
Go on, lads.
Everyone's going mad. Like, do you know what I do? I was saying to someone the other day who's a big Oasis fan, and they're like, you don't understand, you don't get it. I was like, no, I do. For me, it's like last year, Taylor Swift Eras Tour. Like, I could talk about that to the cows come home. Probably the best tour of all time. So I get this is like the male version of that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it will be good. I'm actually going to go and see it. So like, I know I'm being a bit hypocritical here, but I just think the level of hype around two men with a guitar, like, I don't know.
You cannot compare the Oasis reunion, 16 years in the making, no one thought it would ever happen, to Taylor Swift's latest tour 6 years after her last one, or whatever it was.
But it's all of the eras.
I mean, Oasis will probably be doing all their back catalogue as well. I mean, come on.
Do you know what?
I think it's overkill. Like,
I just think if you put Oasis fans and Swifties in a room, the Swifties would win that fight.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Swifties a lot, yeah.
Okay, and what are you binging?
I'm binging Lewis Capaldi's new single, Survive.
Oh.
So that's a bit extreme there. But so that is probably going to get number one on Friday. Well, it is going to get number one on Friday. I was actually in Covent Garden with Lewis yesterday. Bit of a name drop there. He arrived for like a TikTok pop-up. There's a little booth where fans can go in there, and it's basically a moment of quiet. And you sit in a chair, and a video of Lewis like talks to you, and he tells you how to breathe and just like take a moment to pause, because he's been very open about his struggles and so his mental health and about burnout. And I think burnout, obviously we've all got very busy jobs no matter what you're doing, right? And I think especially in this day and age, people just sort of go.
Yeah.
So he's really wanted to try and promote just
Zen.
pausing and Zen. Yeah, we love a bit of Zen. Song's
that.
great. It's like an upbeat, sad. Well, it's like a positive song. Like it's a bit sad if you listen to it, but it's about overcoming struggles.
Yeah.
I've had it on repeat quite a lot. I quite want a remix of it though, so I can have it in the gym.
Someone get Getter on the line.
And then, yeah, but it's great. It's great.
Love that.
I'd actually love to hear Lewis do a dance song. That would be amazing. Because I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of
Yeah.
his music is fairly similar.
It'd probably work.
I feel like, come on, Calvin Harris, let's make this happen for summer
Yeah,
2026.
Calvin, that would be good. Love. Okay, Hal, what are you binning?
I am binning ridiculous Glastonbury rumours. So we were there at the weekend and there were so many stupid things that were suggested. Kylie Minogue coming out with Scissor Sisters, didn't happen. Taylor Swift coming out with Gracie Abrams, didn't happen. Noel and Liam being there, no they weren't. Robbie Williams being there, no he wasn't. I think Robbie had posted a picture of this plaque on Instagram, which was saying 30 years since he'd gone there in a tracksuit. Okay. And I think everyone saw that and was like, oh my God, it means he's going to do a surprise set. And I had everyone and their dog messaging me saying, Howell, what do you know? What do you know? Is he here? Is he here? And I was like, I can definitely tell you he's not here. He's not going to be here. And do not go into some random secret set that you think is going to be him because you will be disappointed. So that is over. And also then there's now rumors about 2027, you know. People are like, oh my God, it's going to be Spice Girls in the Legend slot. It's going to be Madonna in the Legend slot. I cannot deal with these rumors right now anyway. But also, don't even talk to me about putting Spice Girls and Madonna in the Legend slot. They are headliners. They're two of the biggest female acts of all time. We're not relegating them to headliners when they've never even performed there before. Please have some respect.
Hal is done.
I am. I'm really exhausted by it.
He's not happy. He's not happy.
Okay, and you're binging.
I am binging Oasis's back catalogue. I'm going to the opening night in Cardiff tomorrow night. I can never claim to have been the biggest Oasis fan, but the hype around this tour, I love it. It's exciting. I love anything that gets people together. They just did, I don't know if you saw this, guys, but over the Principality Stadium in Cardiff last night, they did a drone show spelling out Oasis, and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And I think people are really expecting no production whatsoever from an Oasis show. And I think they'll probably be right. But an Oasis drone show, I'm like, okay, that is really cool. And, you know, Cardiff's my hometown. I'm going with my dad and my cousin and her fiance. I'm really excited. I think it's going to be an amazing moment.
We need some message to the studio. We need some of that Oasis Lewis Zen track in this room between these two.
He'll have a great time when I say I'm going. It's just like all here for the drones, but that's it really. Like,
Yeah.
You'll be singing along.
Jack's binging drones. Right, I'm binning Lily Allen.
Okay, right, a whole person.
So she is just the latest example of something which I think is a wider problem, which is celebrities now have podcasts. And that's great because they can speak their truth. They can tell us great stories. But sometimes it means that they are sharing things which I think they just need to take a bit of a rain check on. So Lily Allen on her latest podcast is sort of declaring, oh, she can't remember how many abortions she's had. She's lost count. And I just think that all for choice and women, it's their bodies. But there'll be people listening to this who find that incredibly triggering. And I think generally, you know, I think the other week she even said something about, I don't care about men if they're not over 6 foot. And she's fun and she's brilliant. But I think sometimes they need to think about what they're putting out there in the world because she's got fans and that can be really impactful, particularly this abortion narrative that's going on. So
that's mental. That's horrendous.
Lily, I'm sorry, you're in the bin this week. I'm binging.
Oh, yeah.
So I am dating show queen, obsessed, as you know. I need to talk to you about Perfect Match.
Okay, so I've never seen Perfect Match.
So Perfect Match is almost like Netflix's dating show Hunger Games. They have taken the best contestants from all of their dating show world and put them in this villa. And it is essentially like they don't even need producers because these people know exactly why they're there. And initially you think, oh God, they all know what they're there for. It's so fake, but it's incredible. People get engaged. People are swapping partners. It's incredible.
What's this on?
So it's Netflix. It's dropping
Of course
next
it is.
month, but I'm already binging the cast list. So they're people that you obviously already know.
Right.
And as well as the American people from like Temptation Island, sometimes they've had some Selling Sunset people. You've got some UK people. So they've got Freddie and Ollie from Love is Blind UK.
Okay.
So they were the two like lads.
Fair.
You've got Louis from Too Hot to Handle and now Celebs Go Dating. And then you've got all kinds of people going on it that you already know. And they have purposefully cast this for couples that already have beef. So for example, Ultimatum, Marry or Move On, another incredible TV show. Sandy and JR, simmering tension throughout, never went anywhere, but will go somewhere in the Perfect Match villa.
So it's a bit like X on the Beach mixed with
But
Love Island.
no, it's like the World Cup of dating shows.
I used to love Ex on the Beach. That was absolute carnage. If it's like that, great.
I feel like actually that is the really good thing that America does with casting for reality shows. Like when you watch The American Traitors and they've got a mix of the most random people ever, you're like, okay, this is kind of amazing, you know? Why have I got like Ekin-Su talking to Britney's ex-husband, you know?
Yeah, it's amazing. And I mean, for me, the best casting spot on this is Scott from Love Island, who has been on every single Love Island that exists: Australia, USA, Love Island Games, Our Love Island, and now he is graduated to the creme de la creme, Perfect Match, and
I feel like maybe he should just stick to Tinder because like something's not working with these shows.
Is he still single?
well, he is, because the phone keeps ringing, doesn't it, for these bookings. Anyway, love it. Right, that's your Showbiz Fix for the week, and you can get a whole lot of telly and entertainment tidbits if you subscribe here at The Sun Showbiz on YouTube. And you can hear us in your ears wherever you get your podcasts. See you next week.